Captain Lee Do-hyun stood at the command deck of Orbital Defense Station Omega-7, watching the stars through the thick glass windows. The station moved slowly around Earth, its metal walls humming with the sound of machines working day and night. Lee had been the commander here for 3 years, and he loved watching Earth turn below them. The blue and green planet looked peaceful from up here. But today was different. Today, the stars were not empty. Lieutenant Kim Ji-won ran to Lee's side, her face white with fear. She held a communication device in her shaking hands. "Captain, we're getting signals from outside the solar system. Multiple ships approaching fast." Lee took the device and listened. The sounds were strange, like music mixed with machine noise, but the translation system worked, and soon he could understand the words. They were not friendly words. "People of Earth," the voice said, cold and proud. "This is High Admiral Vexathara of the Celestial Hegemony. We are coming to your world. You have 24 hours to surrender completely, or we will destroy everything." Lee felt his stomach drop. He had trained for this day, but he never really believed it would come. Alien contact was supposed to be peaceful, not like this. "How many ships?" Lee asked Kim Ji-won. "Our sensors show..." "Captain, there are 50,000 vessels. Each one is huge, bigger than our largest city." Kim Ji-won's voice was barely a whisper. Lee looked out at the stars again. He could not see the alien ships yet, but he knew they were coming. 50,000 ships against Earth's small defense force. It seemed impossible. Dr. Park Min-ji came running onto the command deck. She was the station's chief weapons engineer, a small woman with quick hands and a brilliant mind. She had been working on something secret for months, something that Admiral Choi Hyun-woo had ordered her to build. Lee knew about the project, but he did not know all the details. "Captain," Dr. Park said, breathing hard from running, "I need to talk to you about Project Horizon." "It's ready." Lee nodded. "How ready?" "Ready enough," she said. "But I need 12 more hours to make final checks." "You have them," Lee said. He turned to Kim Ji-won. "Contact Admiral Choi on Earth. Tell him the aliens are here." While Kim Ji-won worked, Lee thought about Earth's defenses. They had 12 orbital stations like Omega-7, each one armed with weapons and shields. They had 800 ships, good ships with brave crews, but 50,000 enemy vessels. It was like bringing a knife to a gunfight. The alien message came again, this time with pictures. Lee watched on the main screen as the enemy fleet appeared. The ships were beautiful and terrible, made of silver and gold metal that caught starlight like jewelry. They moved in perfect formation, like a dance of death through space. "They're laughing at us," Kim Ji-won said, listening to more alien transmissions. "They're sharing jokes about human technology. They think our weapons are toys." Lee watched the alien ships get closer. Each one was protected by energy shields that glowed like rainbow colors. Their weapons were huge, mounted on the front of each ship like the heads of dragons. These aliens had fought many wars and won them all. "Captain," Dr. Park said quietly, "they don't know about Project Horizon. Our intelligence was right. They think we only have basic kinetic weapons and chemical rockets." "Good," Lee said. "Let them think that." The hours passed slowly. More alien messages came, each one more insulting than the last. The aliens talked about humans like they were children playing with sticks and stones. They shared recordings of other worlds they had conquered, showing how quickly those planets had fallen. Lee called his crew together in the main meeting room. There were 35 people on Omega-7, all of them trained soldiers and engineers. They looked scared but determined. "You all know why we're here," Lee said. "Earth needs us to hold this position. The aliens think we're weak, and maybe our weapons look weak to them. But Dr. Park has built something special, something they won't expect." Dr. Park stood up. "I can't tell you everything about Project Horizon, but I can tell you this. It uses physics, not fantasy." While the aliens were building energy shields and plasma guns, we were studying the basic rules of the universe. Sometimes simple is better than complicated. The crew nodded. They trusted Dr. Park. She had saved the station many times with her quick thinking and clever solutions. "What do you need from us?" asked Nam Ji-hyun, the targeting specialist. "Just do your jobs," Dr. Park said. "When the time comes, I'll need perfect targeting data and all the station's power. Can you give me that?" "Yes, ma'am," Nam Ji-hyun said. Lee looked at his crew. "The aliens are giving us 24 hours to surrender. We're not going to surrender. But we're also not going to attack until they do. We wait, we watch, and we prepare." As the hours passed, the alien fleet got closer. Lee could see them now without the sensors, tiny points of light moving against the star field. Each light was a ship full of alien soldiers, coming to conquer. Earth. Commander Oselgi contacted them from her fighter squadron. "Captain Lee, my pilots are ready. We might not have big ships, but we can still fight." "I know," Lee said, "but wait for orders. This battle will be different from anything in the history books." Dr. Park disappeared into the lower levels of the station, working on her secret weapon. Lee could hear machines running down there, power systems charging up for something big. Whatever Project Horizon was, it needed a lot of energy. The alien messages kept coming. They showed pictures of their weapons destroying moons and planets. They talked about how easy it would be to break Earth's defenses. They laughed at human courage, calling it stupidity. "Let them laugh," Lee said to Kim Ji-won. "People who laugh too much sometimes forget to watch where they're going." With 6 hours left until the deadline, High Admiral Vexathera sent a personal message to Earth. "Humans, your planet is beautiful. It would be a shame to destroy it completely. Surrender now, and we will let some of you live as our servants. Keep fighting, and we will turn your world into dust." Admiral Choi Hyun-woo's reply came from Earth an hour later. "This is Admiral Choi of the Earth Defense Force. We do not surrender. We do not serve. If you want our world, you will have to take it. But know this. Humans are not as helpless as we look." The aliens found this message very funny. Their laughter filled the communication channels, echoing between the stars like thunder. 18 hours remained until the alien deadline. The celestial hegemony fleet had arranged itself in a perfect battle formation around Earth's solar system. High Admiral Vexathera stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Eternal Dominion, watching the human defenses through her ship's sensors. "Look at them," she said to her officers, pointing at the screen showing Earth's orbital stations. 12 small platforms and a few hundred ships. They're arranging themselves like they actually plan to fight us." Commander Velthos, her second-in-command, made a sound that was the alien version of laughter. "Their weapon scans show nothing but kinetic projectiles and chemical explosives. No energy shields, no plasma cannons, no quantum disruptors. It's like fighting cave dwellers." The alien fleet was massive beyond human imagination. Each ship was a floating city, powered by reactors that could light up a star. Their hulls were made from materials that could survive inside a sun. Their shields could stop anything the galaxy had ever thrown at them. At least, that's what they believed. On Omega 7, Dr. Park Minji worked in the deepest part of the station. The room was called Engineering Bay 7, but everyone who knew about Project Horizon called it the workshop. It was here that humanity's greatest secret lay hidden. The weapon didn't look like much. It was a black cylinder, 3 meters long and half a meter wide. No glowing energy cores, no exotic crystals, no alien technology. Just human engineering at its finest. Dr. Park ran her hands along its smooth surface, checking every connection and circuit. "Tungsten carbide core," she whispered to herself, going through her checklist. "Guidance system, check. Magnetic rail system, check. Power coupling, check." Everything was perfect. It had to be perfect. Captain Lee Do-hyun came down to the workshop. followed by Lieutenant Kim Ji-won. Lee had been coming down here every few hours, not to bother Dr. Park, but to see this weapon that might save Earth. "How much longer?" Lee asked. 6 more hours, Dr. Park said. "The rail system needs to charge completely. We only get one shot at this, Captain. One shot to show them that humans are not as primitive as they think." Kim Ji-won was staring at the weapon. "It doesn't look very dangerous," Dr. Park smiled. "The most dangerous things in the universe often look simple. An asteroid looks like a rock until it hits a planet. This looks like a metal tube until it moves at 15% of light. Speed! 15%? Kim Ji-won's eyes went wide. "That's impossible." "No," Dr. Park said. "Just very, very difficult. The entire station is basically a giant railgun. We've been disguising it as a communications array for 3 years. Every corridor, every room, every piece of equipment is designed to focus power into this one shot." Above them, the alien fleet continued their preparations. They had done this 347 times before, conquering world after world across the galaxy. Their tactics were always the same: arrive with overwhelming force, demand surrender, then destroy anyone who refused. It had never failed. High Admiral Vexithara was reviewing files about Earth. The humans had developed spaceflight only recently. Their weapons were simple kinetic projectiles fired by chemical explosives or magnetic systems. Their ships could barely travel between planets. By galactic standards, they were children playing with toys. "Admiral," reported the ship's science officer, "human communications show they're planning some kind of defensive action. Our sensors detect power buildups in their orbital stations." "Let me see," Vexithara said. The data appeared on her screen. "Ah, they're charging their railguns. How quaint. Do they really think metal projectiles can penetrate our shields?" The science officer made calculations on his computer. "Even if they could fire a projectile at 10 kilometers per second, our shields would absorb the impact completely. The energy would be negligible." 10 kilometers per second, Vexithara repeated, amused. "Our interceptor drones can move faster than that. This will be easier than I thought." But Dr. Park wasn't planning to fire at 10 kilometers per second. She wasn't even planning 20 or 30 kilometers per second. The numbers on her private computer showed something the aliens had never seen before: 44,897 kilometers per second. Specialist Nam Ji-hyun joined the group in the workshop. As the station's targeting specialist, she would be the one guiding the shot. She looked nervous but determined. "Dr. Park," Nam Ji-hyun said, "I've been studying the alien formation. Their flagship is in the center, surrounded by escort vessels. If we can hit it—" "We only need to hit it," Dr. Park said. "At the speed this projectile will be traveling, hitting it is the same as destroying it, and everything near it." Commander Oh-sulgi contacted the station from her fighter squadron. Her voice came through the communication system, clear and confident. "Captain Lee, my fighters are in position. We're ready to engage the moment you give the order." "Negative," Lee replied. "Keep your distance until we see what Project Horizon can do. This isn't going to be the kind of fight you're expecting." The hours crawled by. The alien fleet moved. Closer to Earth, their ships glowing with power and confidence. They sent more messages to the human forces, each one more insulting than the last. They shared videos of their past conquests, showing planets burning and cities falling. "Look how easily they fell," Admiral Vexithara broadcast to all human receivers. The Krellans had energy weapons. The Thessians had quantum shields. The Vorlak Empire had ships twice the size of yours. They all thought they could resist us. They were all wrong. Admiral Choi Hyunwoo responded from Earth's surface. "This is Admiral Choi to all alien vessels. You've conquered many worlds, but you've never fought humans before. We don't have your fancy technology, but we have something you don't understand: the ability to make simple things extraordinary." The aliens found this message hilarious. Their laughter filled space, bouncing between their ships like an echo. Simple things extraordinary? What could primitive humans possibly do that advanced galactic civilizations could not? Dr. Park made her final checks on Project Horizon. The magnetic rails were charged to maximum power. The targeting system was locked onto the alien flagship. The tungsten carbide projectile sat ready in its chamber, waiting for the moment that would change everything. "Captain," she called to Lee over the communication system. "We're ready. All I need is your order." Lee looked out at the alien fleet. 50,000 ships, each one a masterpiece of advanced technology. Against them, Earth had brave hearts, clever minds, and one secret weapon that the enemy could not imagine. "Not yet," Lee said. "Let them get closer. Let them think they've already won. When someone is laughing too hard, they can't see the danger coming." 1 hour remained until the deadline. The alien fleet began powering up their weapons, preparing for the destruction of Earth's defenses. Energy readings spiked across their formation as plasma cannons charged and quantum torpedoes armed themselves. High Admiral Vexithara stood ready to give the order that would end human resistance forever. She had no idea that deep inside a small, orbital station, Dr. Park Minji was about to teach the galaxy a lesson about the power of human ingenuity. 1 hour remained until the alien deadline. High Admiral Vexithara had grown tired of waiting. The human defenses looked pathetic spread out before her massive fleet. It was time to show these primitive creatures what real power looked like. "Commander, Veltos," she called to her second officer, "charge the main cannon. We'll destroy their largest orbital platform as a demonstration. Let them see what happens to those who refuse our generous offer." "Yes, Admiral," Veltos replied. He turned to the weapons officer. "Target the human station designated Omega-7, full power to the primary plasma array." The Eternal Dominion's main weapon was a masterpiece of alien engineering. It could vaporize a small moon or crack a planet's crust. The energy it gathered could power an entire solar system for years. As it charged, the massive gun began to glow with deadly light. On Omega-7, alarms started ringing. Lieutenant Kim Ji-won called out from her station. "Captain, the alien flagship is targeting us directly. Energy readings are off the charts. They're going to fire their main weapon." Captain Lee Do-hyun felt his heart racing, but his voice stayed calm. "All crew to battle stations. Dr. Park, how's our status?" Deep in the workshop, Dr. Park Minji made her final calculations. The numbers on her screen were perfect. The magnetic rail system showed full charge. Project Horizon was ready to fire. She had spent 3 years building this weapon, and now everything depended on the next few minutes. "Captain," Dr. Park's voice came through the communication system. "We're ready. The rail system is at maximum power. All I need is your authorization." Lee looked at the alien fleet through the station windows. The flagship was enormous, bigger than most Earth cities. Its weapons glowed with deadly energy, preparing to destroy his station and everyone on it. Around it, thousands of other ships waited to watch the show. "Dr. Park," Lee said, "you are authorized to fire Project Horizon." In the workshop, Dr. Park's hands moved quickly over her controls. "Targeting confirmed. Magnetic rails at full power. Projectile ready for launch." She paused for a moment, thinking about everything that had led to this moment. 3 years of work, the hopes of humanity, and the future of Earth all depended on the next few seconds. Firing in 3, 2, 1. Firing now. The lights on Omega-7 went completely dark. Every generator, every power cell, every energy source on the station fed power into the magnetic rail system. For 3.7 seconds, the tungsten carbide projectile accelerated through the hidden rail that ran the entire length of the station. The alien weapons officer on the Eternal Dominion noticed the power surge. "Admiral, the human station is firing something. Looks like a simple kinetic projectile." High Admiral Vexithara laughed. "A metal slug? Against our shields? How wonderfully primitive. Don't even bother to intercept it. Let them see how useless their weapons are." The projectile left Omega-7 moving at 44,197 kilometers per second. To the alien sensors, it looked like just another piece of human technology, slow and harmless. Their computers calculated its speed and dismissed it as no threat. But their computers had never seen anything like this before. Commander Velthos watched the projectile approach on his screen. It's moving faster than our estimates suggested, but still well within our shield parameters. Impact in 1.1 seconds. Perfect, Vexithara said. Let the humans watch their best shot bounce off our shields like a pebble. What the aliens didn't understand was that Dr. Park hadn't just built a railgun. She had built a machine that could accelerate matter to relativistic speeds. At 15% of light speed, the projectile wasn't just fast. It was carrying more kinetic energy than anything the galaxy had ever seen. The tungsten carbide slug approached the Eternal Dominion's shields. These shields had stopped plasma, beams that could melt planets. They had absorbed the impact of quantum torpedoes and antimatter bombs. They were the best defensive technology in the galaxy, but they were designed for normal physics. At 44,197 kilometers per second, normal physics stopped working. The projectile didn't just hit the shields. It passed through them like they weren't there. The shield generators tried to process what was happening, but their computers couldn't understand matter moving at such incredible speed. The projectile struck the Eternal Dominion exactly in the center of its hull. What happened next wasn't an explosion. It was something much more fundamental. When a 50-kilogram object moving at 15% of light speed hits a stationary target, the laws of physics take over in a very dramatic way. Einstein's equation, E equals mc2, became reality. The kinetic energy of the projectile converted into pure, devastating force. It was like detonating a 500-megaton nuclear bomb, but focused into a single point. The Eternal Dominion didn't have time to explode. It simply ceased to exist. The ship, its crew, its weapons, its shields, everything vaporized instantly. A sphere of superheated plasma expanded outward from the impact point, reaching temperatures found only in the cores of stars. Commander. Velthos had just enough time to say, "What?" before he became part of the expanding gas cloud. The shockwave hit the nearest escort ships immediately. 17 vessels, each one a powerful warship, were crushed like insects. Their hulls cracked, their systems failed, their crews died before they could understand what had happened. The rest of the alien fleet watched in stunned silence as their flagship, the pride of the celestial hegemony, became a glowing ball of gas and debris. The ship that had conquered 347 worlds was gone in less than a second. On Omega 7, Dr. Park Minji watched her calculations become reality. The energy readings were exactly what her computer models had predicted. The projectile had performed perfectly, delivering its kinetic energy with mathematical precision. "Direct hit," she reported to Captain Lee. "The flagship has been completely destroyed." Lieutenant Kim Ji-won was staring at her sensors in disbelief. "Captain, 17 more ships are gone. The entire center of their formation has been wiped out." Captain Lee looked out at where the alien flagship had been. Now there was only an expanding cloud of glowing gas. The arrogant laughter that had filled the communication channels was replaced by complete silence. "Get me an open channel." "To the alien fleet," Lee ordered. "Channel open, sir." Lee's voice carried across space to every surviving alien ship. "This is Captain Lee Do-hyun of Earth Defense Station Omega 7. You just witnessed the power of human engineering. We don't need exotic matter or quantum technology. We just need to understand the basic laws of the universe." The alien fleet remained silent. On 100 command bridges, alien officers stared at their screens, trying to understand how their most advanced ship had been destroyed by what they thought was primitive human technology. "We have 11 more stations," Lee continued, "each one equipped with the same weapon system. Your flagship mocked our defenses. Now it's gone. Your move." In the wreckage of the alien formation, Commander Velthos had somehow survived on a badly damaged escort ship. He was now the ranking officer of what remained of the Celestial Hegemony fleet. For the first time in his military career, he felt something he had never experienced before: fear. The humans had just done the impossible. They had destroyed the most powerful ship in the galaxy using nothing but physics and determination. And they claimed to have 11 more weapons just like it. Dr. Park Minji closed down Project Horizon's systems. The railgun had worked perfectly, just as her calculations had predicted. She had proven that sometimes the most devastating weapons were the simplest ones. The galaxy was about to learn a new lesson. Never underestimate the species that turned mathematics into warfare. The expanding cloud of plasma that had once been the Eternal Dominion continued to grow, its light visible from Earth. On 1,000 alien ships, crews stared at their sensors in disbelief. Their most powerful vessel had simply vanished, along with 17 escort ships and over 2 million crew members. Commander Velthos found himself in command of the largest military disaster in galactic history. His ship, the Void Striker, had been far enough from the flagship to survive, but it was badly damaged by the shock wave. Emergency lights flashed red across the bridge as his crew tried to make sense of what had happened. "Report," Velthos ordered, his voice shaking. "Sir," his science officer replied, "the humans fired some kind of kinetic projectile. Our computers show it was moving at... This can't be right. Nearly 45,000 kilometers per second. "That's impossible," Velthos said. "No railgun can achieve those speeds." "Sir, the math doesn't lie. At that velocity, a small projectile carries more energy than our largest antimatter bombs. The flagship's shields weren't designed to stop relativistic projectiles." Velthos felt sick. The Celestial Hegemony had conquered hundreds of worlds by studying their weapons and defenses. They always knew what to expect. Energy weapons, particle beams, nuclear devices, these were all known technologies with known countermeasures. But humans had done something different. They had taken the simplest weapon in the universe, throwing a rock, and made it move fast, enough to destroy a dreadnought. On Omega 7, Dr. Park Minji was analyzing the results of her shot. Every sensor on the station had recorded the impact, giving her perfect data about how Project Horizon performed. The numbers were exactly what she had calculated 3 years ago when she first proposed the idea. "Captain," she reported to Lee, "Do-hyun, the weapon functioned perfectly. The projectile maintained course and speed throughout its flight. Impact energy was 500 megatons, delivered in a focused point. No ship in the galaxy can survive that kind of hit." Lieutenant Kim Ji-won was monitoring alien communications. The enemy fleet was in chaos, with ships calling each other, sharing data, trying to understand what had happened. The confident laughter from before was gone, replaced by fear and confusion. "Captain," Kim Ji-won said, "they're requesting permission to examine the wreckage of their flagship." "Denied," Lee replied. "Let them wonder how we did it." Admiral Choi Hyun-woo's voice came through from Earth Command. "Captain Lee, magnificent work. The entire planet watched the alien ship disappear. How many more shots can you fire?" "Project Horizon needs 6 hours to recharge," Dr. Park answered. "But the aliens don't know that. Let them think we can fire again immediately." The truth was that Project Horizon had used every bit of power. On Omega 7, the station was running on emergency power while the main generators slowly recharged. But the aliens didn't need to know about human limitations. Commander Velthos was having the worst day of his military career. He had been ordered to assist in what should have been an easy conquest. Instead, he was now in command of a demoralized fleet that had just lost its flagship to a species they had dismissed as primitive. "Sir," his communications officer called, "we're receiving a transmission from the human station." "Put it through," Velthos said. Dr. Park Minji's voice filled the bridge of the Void Striker. Attention, Celestial Hegemony Fleet. You have just witnessed the power of human engineering. We have 11 more stations, each equipped with identical weapon systems. We suggest you reconsider your plans. The alien bridge crew looked at each other with growing fear. 11 more weapons like the one that had just destroyed their flagship? The mathematics were terrifying. Even if only half the human claims were true, the alien fleet couldn't survive another encounter. This is impossible, Velthos muttered. How can a primitive species build weapons we've never seen before? His science officer had been studying the attack data. Sir, I think I understand what happened. The humans didn't invent new technology. They perfected old technology. That projectile was just tungsten carbide, but they accelerated it to relativistic speeds using magnetic rails. Relativistic speeds? Velthos asked. Yes, sir. At 15% of light speed, even a small mass carries enormous kinetic energy. Our shields are designed to stop energy weapons and conventional projectiles. But relativistic projectiles, they're something else entirely. Velthos realized the horrible truth. The Celestial Hegemony had been studying human technology for months, preparing for this invasion. They had seen the rail guns, the kinetic weapons, the chemical rockets, but they had completely missed the fact that human rail guns could achieve speeds that violated everything they thought they knew about primitive technology. How did we miss this? Velthos asked. Because we were looking for energy signatures, his science officer explained. Plasma weapons, particle beams, quantum disruptors, these all produce detectable energy patterns. But a kinetic weapon powered by magnetic rails. It looks like simple technology until it fires. On Earth, billions of people watched the news reports about the alien flagship's destruction. What had seemed like humanity's darkest hour had become its greatest triumph. The massive alien fleet that had come to conquer Earth was now retreating to a safe distance, afraid to get too close to the human orbital stations. Commander O. Solgi contacted Omega-7 from her fighter squadron. Captain Lee, my pilots are ready to press the attack. The aliens are in disarray. Negative, Lee replied. Let them think about what just happened. Sometimes the best victory is the one where the enemy defeats himself. Dr. Park was already planning improvements to Project Horizon. The first shot had been perfect, but she could make the next one even better. Faster projectiles, better targeting, more efficient power systems. If the aliens came back, humanity would be ready. But the aliens were not thinking about coming back. They were thinking about survival. Velthos called a meeting of all surviving ship commanders. The holographic conference included captains from across the scattered fleet, their faces showing shock and fear. Options, Velthos said simply. We could retreat and call for reinforcements, suggested Captain Crix of the Starhammer. What reinforcements? Asked Captain Thylos. The humans claim to have 11 more weapons like the one that destroyed the flagship. How many ships are we willing to lose finding out if they're telling the truth? We could try to negotiate, offered Captain Zanara. The suggestion hung in the air like a poison cloud. The Celestial Hegemony did not negotiate with primitive species. They conquered or they destroyed, but they had never faced anything like this before. Velthos made the hardest decision of his career. We're going to request terms from the humans. The alien communications reached Omega-7 an hour later. Lieutenant Kim Ji-won could hardly believe what she was hearing. Captain, she said to Lee, the aliens want to discuss surrender terms. Lee smiled. Put them through to Admiral Choi on Earth. This is bigger than one orbital station now. Admiral Choi Hyun-woo's response was broadcast to every ship in the alien fleet. This is Admiral Choi of Earth Defense Force. Your terms are simple. Leave our solar system immediately. Never return, and spread the word throughout the galaxy. Earth is not as defenseless as it appears. The message continued. We don't need exotic technology or alien science. We have something more dangerous, human curiosity, and the determination to turn simple ideas into extraordinary results. You came here expecting to fight primitives. Instead, you discovered that sometimes the most dangerous enemy is the one who understands the universe better than you do. Commander Velthos listened to the human admiral's words and knew they were true. The celestial hegemony had made the fatal mistake of confusing advanced technology with actual intelligence. The humans had used basic physics to create a weapon that surpassed anything in the alien arsenal. As the alien fleet began its retreat from Earth's solar system, Velthos sent one final message to the human stations. We acknowledge your superiority. Earth will be marked as a protected system. No hegemony ship will approach your world again. Dr. Park Minji stood in the workshop, looking at her simple tungsten carbide projectile launcher. It didn't look like the weapon that had just changed galactic history. But then again, the most important things rarely looked impressive from the outside. Sometimes the greatest victories came from understanding that the universe itself was the most powerful weapon of all. The alien fleet retreat was not graceful. 50,000 ships that had arrived in perfect formation now scattered like frightened birds. Some vessels limped away with damaged hulls from the shock wave. Others raced at maximum speed, desperate, to put distance between themselves and Earth's orbital stations. Commander Velthos sat in his command chair aboard the Void Striker, watching his fleet fall apart. In 1 hour, the celestial hegemony had gone from conquerors to refugees. The humans had done more than destroy a ship. They had shattered the confidence of an entire galactic empire. Sir, his communications officer reported, we're receiving messages from Hegemony Command. They want a full report on what happened here. Velthos dreaded that conversation. How do you explain to your superiors that a primitive species destroyed your flagship with a weapon they didn't even recognize? How do you tell them that everything they knew about human technology was wrong? Tell them we'll report when we reach safe distance, Velthos said, and recommend that Earth be classified as a Level 10 threat. Level 10, sir? The communications officer looked shocked. That's the highest threat rating in our system. It's reserved for species with planet-killing weapons. The humans just proved they have planet-killing weapons, Velthos replied. They also proved they're willing to use them. On Omega 7, Captain Lee Do-yun stood in the observation deck, watching the alien fleet retreat. The stars that had been hidden behind enemy ships were visible again. Earth looked peaceful and blue below them, unaware of how close it had come to destruction. Dr. Park Minji joined him at the window. She looked exhausted but satisfied. 3 years of work had saved humanity in less than 4 seconds. How long before they come back? Lee asked. They won't, Dr. Park said confidently. At least not these ones. We didn't just beat them, we scared them. Fear is more powerful than any weapon. Lieutenant Kim Ji-won approached with a communication device. Captain, we're getting messages from all over Earth. The President wants to speak with you. The United Nations is calling an emergency session. Everyone wants to know about Project Horizon. Lee sighed. The secret's out now. No point in hiding it anymore. The truth was that Project Horizon had been Earth's most classified project. Only a few dozen people knew it existed. The weapon had been built in complete secrecy, disguised as a communications upgrade to the orbital stations. Now the whole galaxy would know about human railgun technology. Admiral Choi Hyun-woo contacted the station from Earth Command. Captain Lee, Dr. Park, outstanding work. The alien fleet is retreating beyond the outer planets. They're broadcasting surrender messages on all frequencies. What kind of surrender messages? Lee asked. Unconditional retreat, Admiral Choi replied. They're promising never to return to our solar system. They're also sending technical data about their fleet compositions and weapon systems. I think they're hoping we'll be merciful. Dr. Park laughed. Merciful. We fired one shot. If we wanted to be unmerciful, we could have targeted their troop transports instead of their flagship. The alien fleet continued its retreat, but not all ships were leaving. Several damaged vessels had stopped at the edge of the solar system, unable to travel further. Their hulls were cracked, their life support failing, their crews dying. Commander, Osulgi contacted Omega-7 from her fighter squadron. Captain Lee, we're detecting distress signals from damaged alien ships. They're requesting assistance. Lee looked at Dr. Park, who shrugged. Your call, Captain. They came here to destroy us. But they're also sentient beings in distress, Lee replied. He opened a communication channel to the alien vessels. This is Captain Lee of Earth Defense. We're receiving your distress calls. Stand by for rescue operations. Commander Velthos couldn't believe what he was hearing. The humans were offering to rescue alien survivors after the hegemony had threatened to destroy their world? It was unprecedented in galactic warfare. Sir, his medical officer reported, the Stellar Wind and the Night's Edge are both showing critical life support failures. They have maybe 6 hours before complete system collapse. Velthos made a decision that would have been impossible a few hours earlier. Signal the human forces. Request permission to coordinate rescue operations. The next 6 hours were strange beyond imagination. Human rescue ships worked alongside alien vessels to save lives. Earth's medical teams treated injured aliens with the same care they would show to humans. Fighter pilots who had been preparing for battle instead guided alien lifeboats to safety. Dr. Park watched the rescue operations from Omega-7's medical bay, where human doctors were treating injured alien crew members. One of the aliens, a young engineer named Kaitox, had been badly hurt when his ship was damaged by the shock wave. Why are you helping us? Kaitox asked Dr. Park through a translation device. We came here to conquer your world. Because that's what humans do, Dr. Park replied. We fight when we have to, but we help when we can. Your leaders made a mistake, but that doesn't mean you should die for it. The rescue operations were broadcast across the galaxy. Other species watched in amazement as humans saved the lives of enemies who had threatened to destroy their planet. It was a display of mercy that no one had expected. Commander Velthos was among the last to leave Earth's solar system. Before departing, he sent a personal message to Captain Lee. Captain, Lee, this is Commander Velthos. I want you to know that today changed everything. The celestial hegemony has fought wars across the galaxy for 1,000 years, but we have never encountered anything like human ingenuity. Your weapon was devastating, but your mercy was even more powerful. We will spread the word to every species in the galaxy. Earth is not just defended by superior weapons, but by superior beings. No hegemony ship will threaten your world again. Lee's response was simple. Commander Velthos, we don't want to be your enemies. We just want to be left in peace. Take care of your wounded, and remember that the universe is big enough for all of us. As the last alien ship disappeared beyond the outer planets, Earth settled into an unusual quiet. The orbital stations continued their watch, but the immediate threat was over. Humanity had won its first interstellar war without losing a single life. Dr. Park returned to the workshop, where Project Horizon sat silent and cool. The weapon that had changed galactic history looked ordinary again, just a black tube surrounded by magnetic coils, but she knew it was more than that now. It was proof that human creativity could overcome any challenge. Admiral Choi's final message came through the communication system. All stations, this is Earth Command. The alien threat has been neutralized. Stand down from battle alert, but maintain readiness protocols. Today we learned that we're not alone in the universe, but we also learned that we can defend ourselves. We fought with mathematics and won with physics. We showed mercy to our enemies and gained their respect. Today, humanity took its place among the stars not as conquerors, but as protectors of what we believe in. Lieutenant Kim Ji-won made the final log entry. Orbital Defense Station Omega-7. Final report. Alien invasion repelled with minimal force. Enemy fleet retreated. Human casualties, 0. Alien casualties, minimal, thanks to rescue operations. Duration of conflict, 14 minutes from first shot to enemy retreat. Conclusion, they should have studied harder before they came to class. The stars around Earth were quiet again, but they would never look the same. Humanity had announced itself to the galaxy not with conquest, but with a simple message. We understand the universe, and we're not afraid to use that knowledge to protect what we love. Project Horizon had fired. Only once, but its echo would be heard across the galaxy for generations to come. 6 months after the Battle of Earth, the galaxy was a very different place. News of humanity's victory had spread to every corner of known space, carried by merchants, diplomats, and the surviving members of the Celestial Hegemony fleet. The story grew with each telling, but the core facts remained the same. A primitive species had defeated the galaxy's most powerful military force with a single shot. On the planet Zirion Prime, homeworld of the Hegemony, Supreme Chancellor Vex Moran sat in his crystal throne room reading reports from across the Empire. None of them were good news. 3 client species had declared independence. The Krellin Republic was demanding reparations for past conquests. Worst of all, the Hegemony military was in chaos, with officers questioning orders and demanding explanations. How? Vex Moran asked his science advisor, Dr. Theron. How did we miss this human capability? Dr. Theron had been studying the battle data for months. Chancellor, we made a fundamental error. We assumed that primitive meant weak. The humans proved that understanding basic physics can be more powerful than possessing advanced technology. Explain. Our weapons rely on exotic matter and quantum effects, Dr. Theron said. Very advanced, but also very complicated. The humans used simple kinetic energy, but they accelerated their projectile to relativistic speeds. At 15% of light speed, even a small mass becomes devastating. Vex Moran stood and walked to his window, looking out at the capital city below. And their mercy toward our survivors? That may have been more dangerous than their weapon, Dr. Theron replied. Half the galaxy now sees humans as both powerful and noble. They're receiving diplomatic contact requests from dozens of species. On Earth, humanity was indeed receiving visitors. The first official diplomatic mission had arrived 2 weeks ago, a trade delegation from the Altarian Confederation. More were coming every month. Species that had never heard of Earth before the battle now wanted to establish relations with the planet that had humbled the Celestial Hegemony. Captain Lee Do-hyun had been promoted to Admiral and given command of all orbital defense stations. He stood in the new diplomatic reception center on Omega 7, watching another alien ship dock with the station. This one carried representatives from the Spiral Arm Commerce Guild, interested in establishing trade routes through human space. Dr. Park Min-ji joined him at the observation window. She now held the title of Director of Advanced Weapons Research, though she spent most of her time working on peaceful applications of her railgun technology. The same principles that had destroyed an alien flagship were now being used to launch cargo containers between planets. Any regrets? Lee asked her. About saving humanity? Never, Dr. Park replied. About becoming famous across the galaxy? Every day. It was true. Dr. Park had become something of a celebrity among alien scientists. Delegations came just to meet the human who had weaponized relativity. She had been offered positions at universities on a dozen different worlds, all of which she had politely declined. The alien representatives were escorted into the reception center by Lieutenant Commander Kim Ji-won, who had been promoted and given the new position of Diplomatic Liaison Officer. The aliens were tall, blue-skinned beings with 4 arms and large, intelligent eyes. Admiral Lee, their leader said through a translation device, I am Trade Ambassador Velnari. We come seeking partnership with the ingenious humans of Earth. Welcome to our system, Lee replied. We're always interested in peaceful contact with other species. May we ask, Velnari continued, is it true that your weapon was built using only materials found on your home world? Dr. Park stepped forward. Yes, that's correct. Tungsten, carbide, magnetic coils, and power systems. Nothing exotic, just precise engineering. Velnari's large eyes widened. Remarkable. The Guild's Science Division has been studying your battle data. They estimate it would take our most advanced shipyards 50 years to duplicate your achievement. That's because you're thinking like advanced civilizations, Dr. Park said with a smile. Sometimes the best solutions are the simple ones. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the effects of Earth's victory continued to ripple outward. On the mining. World of Kepler 442b, human-designed railguns were being used to launch ore containers into orbit, revolutionizing the planet's economy. The Andromedan Science Collective had requested detailed plans for human magnetic rail technology, offering to trade their advanced medical knowledge in return. Commander Velthos, the alien officer who had led the retreat from Earth, had been reassigned to the Hegemony Diplomatic Corps. His new job was to prevent other military disasters by improving intelligence gathering. His first report to headquarters was titled, "The Danger of Underestimating Primitive Species." The humans taught us that technological advancement is not the same as intelligence, he wrote. A species with simple tools but brilliant minds can be more dangerous than one with advanced weapons but limited thinking. We must never again assume that primitive means weak. On Earth, the changes were just as dramatic. The planet had gone from isolated and unknown to one of the most important worlds in the galaxy. The United Nations had established a new Department of Interstellar Relations. Admiral Choi Hyun-woo had been promoted to Secretary General of Planetary Defense. But perhaps the most important change was in humanity's view of itself. The species that had once looked up at the stars and wondered if they were alone now knew they were part of a vast galactic community, and they had earned their place not through conquest, but through intelligence and courage. Dr. Park had been invited to speak at the Galactic Science Symposium on Centauri Prime, the most prestigious scientific conference in known space. Her lecture, titled Kinetic Energy and the Art of Simplicity, was attended by researchers from 127 different species. The universe operates on simple principles, she told the audience. Energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. Force equals mass times acceleration. These equations work the same way whether you're a primitive human or an advanced galactic civilization. The difference is not in the science, but in how creatively you apply it. After her lecture, a young scientist from the Zephyrian Republic approached her. Dr. Park, my people have been studying physics for 10,000 years, but we never thought to use relativistic projectiles as weapons. How did humans make this breakthrough? Dr. Park considered the question carefully. Because we're good at finding new uses for old things. Humans have been throwing rocks for millions of years. We just figured out how to throw them faster. The alien scientist looked puzzled. But your railgun technology is incredibly sophisticated. The technology is sophisticated, Dr. Park agreed. But the idea is simple. Take something basic and make it better. That's how humans have always solved problems. 6 months after the battle, Omega-7 had been expanded to include a permanent diplomatic wing. Representatives from 43 species maintained offices there, making it one of the busiest diplomatic centers in the galaxy. The station that had once been humanity's secret weapon was now a symbol of peaceful cooperation. Admiral Lee often stood in the observation deck where he had watched the alien fleet retreat. The view was different now. Instead of empty space, he could see ships from dozens of worlds coming and going, carrying diplomats, scientists, and traders. Earth had become a crossroads of galactic civilization. Lieutenant Commander Kim Ji-won approached with the day's reports. Admiral, we have requests for diplomatic meetings from 6 more species. The Rigelian Defense League wants to discuss mutual protection agreements. The Crystal Confederation is offering to share their medical technology in exchange for railgun designs. And the Celestial Hegemony? Lee asked. Still keeping their distance, Kim Ji-won replied. But Commander Velthos sends regular reports about political changes in their government. Apparently, the failure at Earth led to major reforms. They're now requiring diplomatic contact before any military action. Lee nodded. That was perhaps the best outcome of all. The galaxy's most aggressive military force had learned the value of talking before shooting. As the months passed, humanity continued to surprise the galaxy. Human engineers developed new applications for railgun technology that no one had imagined. Human diplomats found creative solutions to conflicts that had lasted for centuries. Human scientists made breakthroughs by applying simple principles to complex problems. Dr. Park returned to her workshop in the deep levels of Omega 7, where Project Horizon still sat silent. The weapon had fired only once, but that single shot had changed everything. Not just for humanity, but for every species in the galaxy. She had been working on a new project lately, a railgun system designed to launch emergency supplies to disaster zones at interplanetary distances. It was the same technology that had destroyed an alien flagship, but now it would save lives instead of taking them. The best weapons, she had written in her journal, are the ones you never have to use twice. The galaxy had learned to respect humanity not because they were the strongest or the most advanced, but because they were creative, determined, and ultimately peaceful. Earth's greatest victory was not the destruction of an enemy ship, but the creation of a new era of cooperation among the stars. And it all started with a simple question that Dr. Park had asked 3 years earlier.